Subscribe before the lights cut out again, like, comment and keep your eyes open. Something in this house is watching who clicks. Rain bit at the windshield as Lance Corporal Noah Hale rolled to a stop in front of the split-level home where he learned to tie his boots and lie without blinking. Porch light dead. Mailbox yawning. The street was a wet throat swallowing sirens 2 blocks away. He killed the engine and sat with both hands on the wheel, breathing the way the Corps taught him. Slow, measured, ready to move. The front door was new. Steel. 3 deadbolts. His mother would never have done that. She liked doors that stuck in summer and sang in winter. She had also stopped answering his calls 2 weeks ago, the same week her texts turned into short, cheerful bursts he didn't recognize. He rang the bell and waited. No footsteps. No chain sliding free. He used his key on the first lock and felt it grind uselessly. The second and third weren't there last year. Noah's jaw tightened. He circled the house, boots slipping on wet leaves. The kitchen window was cracked a finger's width, propped by a folded supermarket flyer. Inside, the house looked staged, coffee mug centered on a placemat, remote parallel to the table edge, a blanket folded into a perfect square on the couch. Nothing lived here. Everything performed. He slid the window, hoisted himself quietly, and dropped into his own kitchen. The clock over the stove blinked 12 o'clock as if time had been cut and spliced. He called out, "Mom?" The word sounded wrong. It didn't echo, it thudded into the walls and disappeared. On the fridge, a magnet held a grocery list in his mother's handwriting. The O's were too round. The R's were wrong. Someone had copied her hand and missed the rhythm. He scanned the counters. New router. New power strip with a tiny red eye. In the ceiling corner, a smoke detector blinked twice, paused, blinked once. An unusual heartbeat. He moved a chair, twisted it down. A pinhole lens winked back at him. Noah's neck prickled. He checked the hallway. Photos that used to hang in messy clusters were rearranged into clean grids. In each, black marker had been pressed through faces and then wiped away, leaving faint shadows like bruises under glass. In the guest room, the closet was empty except for a single nail, polished bright from recent use. A coil of fishing line sat in the corner, tight as a nerve. Headlights washed across the blinds, slow and deliberate. Noah flattened beside the window and peered out. A dark sedan idled across the street. No plates on the front. A silhouette in the driver's seat didn't move, didn't look up, didn't smoke. Whoever it was had the stillness of someone with a job to do. The back hallway smelled like bleach and damp earth. It led to the door his mother had always kept shut, the basement. The knob was cold, the lock unfamiliar. He listened. The rain had softened into a steady whisper. Distant sirens faded. The furnace clicked, then fell quiet as if holding its breath with him. Noah found the spare keys in the pottery bowl by the pantry. One brass key was new and unmarked. It slid smooth into the basement lock. The door swung an inch and bumped something rubber on the other side. He turned on his phone flashlight and eased the door open. Stairs sank into a square of darkness. On the top step lay a strip of cut weather seal, a door silencer. Someone had practiced opening this quietly. Halfway down, his beam caught a white thread stretched across the stair, trip line chest height. He cut it with his pocket knife, every muscle remembering Ramadi hallways and the language of traps. Near the bottom, a shape hunched under a tarp, a workbench or a narrow table. He reached the concrete, stepped around the tarp and lifted the edge. Rows of cell phones faced up like sleeping fish, each labeled with a name he knew. His mother, their neighbor, his own number, each with the same missed call at 2:17 a.m. Above the table, a corkboard mapped the house in careful lines, arrows and timestamps. And pinned dead center, under a photo of his front porch taken earlier that night, was a printed note. "Welcome home, LCPL Hale. You're late." Noah looked to the far wall and froze. The padlocked door down there wasn't part of the original house. When he found the bolt cutters hanging from a nail and snapped the lock, the door sighed inward. What waited in the hidden room changed everything. If you're brave enough to keep watching, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will haunt you every time you come home in the dark. The hidden room smelled like cold metal and dust. Noah's flashlight shook slightly in his grip, the beam catching the edges of what looked like a workshop, except it wasn't for wood or metal. It was for watching. 3 computer monitors lined the wall, each glowing with faint green light. Every screen showed a live feed: kitchen, living room, hallway, front porch. Cameras everywhere feeding into this underground hub. In the center monitor, the timestamp read 12:06 a.m., and the video showed him, Noah, standing in the basement staring at the screen. For a heartbeat, his mind froze. Then realization hit like a rifle crack. Someone was watching in real time. He killed the light and crouched low. A soft whir filled the room, followed by a faint click above him, another camera turning. Noah's training kicked in. Slow breathing. Silent movement. Identify threat. Neutralize. But this wasn't combat, it was personal. Whoever had set this up had mapped his life, his mother's habits, even his time of arrival. He reached for the power cords behind the monitors and yanked. The screens flickered out one by one, plunging the room into darkness. For a moment he listened, just the basement breathing, pipes settling. Then footsteps. Upstairs. Slow. Careful. Whoever it was knew he was there. Noah crept toward the stairs, flashlight off, knife ready. The sound stopped near the kitchen. A shadow passed under the crack of light at the top step. Then a woman's voice, soft, uncertain, familiar. Noah? His heart jolted. That was his mother's voice, but off somehow. Too smooth like a recording. He didn't answer. He waited. The voice came again, closer this time. Noah, honey, you came home early. The stairs creaked once. Twice. He stepped aside, pressed against the cold wall. A shape appeared at the bottom. His mother's silhouette, wearing the same cardigan she always did. She turned her head toward him, eyes reflecting the beam from his phone. Mom? His voice cracked despite him. She smiled. It wasn't right. Her expression was too still, too rehearsed. Then she whispered, he's upstairs. Before Noah could move, she pressed something into his hand, a small metallic object wrapped in cloth, then pushed him back toward the hidden room. Hide, she mouthed just as another voice thundered from above. Where is he? Boots slammed on the stairs. Noah stumbled into the secret room and locked the false door. The monitors were dead, but a single red LED blinked back to life. The largest screen lit up again, now showing the stairwell outside. A tall man in a black windbreaker descended, holding a suppressed handgun. The way he moved, precise, unhurried, told Noah this wasn't a burglar. This was someone trained. Noah unwrapped what his mother, or whoever she was, had given him, a small USB drive etched with the letter M. His mother's initial. He slipped it into one of the tower's ports. The computer booted instantly, bypassing any password. A folder appeared labeled Do Not Open. Inside were dozens of encrypted files, each named by date. He clicked one. Footage filled the screen. His mother sitting in the same kitchen, speaking to the camera through tears. If you're watching this, Noah, something's gone wrong. The man claiming to be your father's old friend, he's not who he says he is. He's been living here using the house as cover. They have cameras everywhere. They said if I tell anyone, they'll make it look like I disappeared. Static swallowed the rest. Upstairs, another crash. The windbreaker man yelled, We know you came back, Marine. This ends tonight. Noah's blood ran cold. They knew he was military. They knew his habits. They knew him. He scanned the files again. One folder caught his eye, Operation Widow's Net. Inside were blueprints, dozens of suburban homes, each tagged with names and numbers. Surveillance systems, trap layouts, schedules. His mother's house was one of many. Then behind him the door handle twitched. What? Twice. The false lock splintered. The man's voice, calm now, came through the gap. You shouldn't have come home, soldier. You weren't supposed to find this. Noah backed away slowly, eyes darting for an exit. The air felt electric, charged with dread. The last thing he saw on the glowing monitor before it cut to black was a final line of text appearing across the screen, typed remotely as if from somewhere else. She's not your mother. The lights died. And something moved behind him in the dark. If you're still here after this, you're one of us now. Like, subscribe, and remember, some homes are better left empty. The power outage plunged everything into silence. Noah could hear his pulse pounding in his ears. The basement was now nothing but a pit of darkness thick enough to choke on. He crouched, muscles tight, knife ready, counting each breath. Then, movement. Not footsteps, not breathing. Just a faint, dragging sound behind him, near the wall where the monitors had been. He spun and slashed the air, flashlight jerking on. The beam landed on the tarp-covered workbench. The tarp was gone. Something or someone had been under it. From the corner, a metallic clink echoed. He turned his light and his breath caught. There, sitting upright against the wall, was his mother. Or what looked like her. Her eyes were open but glassy, skin pale and waxy, as if she'd been gone for days. A small earpiece was still fitted in her ear, a wire trailing to a hidden speaker mounted in the wall. The voice he'd heard earlier wasn't real, it was a recording timed to play. Whoever had orchestrated this wanted him to find her like this. Wanted to watch what it did to him. Noah dropped to one knee, his hand trembling as he brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Mom," he whispered. The skin was cold. Too cold. Then behind him a click. The unmistakable sound of a gun's safety snapping off. "Turn around, Marine." The voice was steady, older, familiar. Noah stood slowly, turning his flashlight toward the stairs. The man in the windbreaker was there, gun aimed, calm, eyes sharp under the brim of a black cap. "Who are you?" Noah asked, every muscle burning to react. "I'm the reason you're still alive," the man said flatly. "And the reason she isn't." Noah's rage flared, but the man motioned with the gun. "Don't. You were never supposed to come back. Your mother got curious. She found the files. She called someone she shouldn't have." He nodded toward the monitors. "You think this was her house? This was a test site. A control environment for behavioral surveillance. Your mother was the caretaker. She knew everything until she didn't." Noah's grip tightened on his knife. "You killed her." The man shook his head. "She killed herself when she tried to leave." His tone softened. "She loved you though. She tried to protect you by keeping you away." Noah's flashlight flickered, then cut out entirely. Darkness swallowed them both. He lunged. A gunshot cracked, deafening in the small space. The beam flashed again briefly, just enough to catch the man's surprised expression as Noah tackled him into the wall. The gun clattered across the floor. They struggled, hands clawing through shadow and concrete dust. Another shot went off wild. Then a silence heavy enough to make the pipes groan. When Noah finally stood, chest heaving, his hand came away slick. The man lay motionless at his feet. He stumbled to the computer tower, slammed the USB drive back in, and copied every file to his phone. The screen displayed one last document, a government seal, a list of names, and a project title, Horizon Family Initiative. Underneath it, Subjects 34A-H, Psychological Endurance Through Controlled Domestic Environments. Every family listed had been manufactured. False identities, synthetic relationships, controlled surveillance. His own mother's name was there beside his. Subject 34B, Parental Simulacrum. He felt the ground tilt beneath him. "None of this is real," he muttered. Police sirens cut through the night outside. Someone had heard the shots. Noah climbed the stairs slowly, his reflection warped in each photo on the wall. He opened the front door just as the first flash of red and blue spilled across the porch. Officers shouted commands. He dropped the knife and raised his hands. But when they pushed past him into the house, one officer froze, looking toward the open basement door. What the hell? The cop's flashlight beam trembled. The basement was empty. No body. No computers. No cameras. Just an unfinished pit of concrete and dust. Noah turned to protest, but the officer's radio crackled. A voice came through, sharp and urgent. "Unit 12, we have eyes on the suspect. Subject is still inside the house. Repeat, Subject Hale never exited." Noah blinked. "What?" The officers turned, weapons raised. Outside, the sedan from before idled across the street, engine purring. Its tinted window lowered just enough for a faint red recording light to blink. And from the basement below, a woman's voice played once more through the static speaker. Soft, gentle, and horribly familiar. "Welcome home, Noah." Then the feed cut to black.